Hi honey bunches, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Mouse. Today we are going to be talking about the C's in interpersonal relationships. One thing that I would talk about when starting a new interpersonal relationship was that the most important thing to me was communication. And the person would always agree. And I realized over time that something would happen, like the relationship or that connection wouldn't work out, or it wouldn't be as strong as I thought it would be when I thought we had the same foundational value. So I paid attention to what I saw was happening, because I'm like, something's there has to be a disconnect somewhere. Like, where is this disconnect? It was in our definition of what communication meant. And so for me, communication is something that we consistently utilize to understand each other and to come to a common solution. For a lot of people, at least in my experience, communication is just we talked about it. And so I feel like that was where we were, one of the biggest things that I was running into, because I'm like, okay, yeah, we talked about it, but we didn't get a solution. And for them, it's like, no, we already talked about it, so we don't need to keep talking about it. Does that make sense? So at this point, I started to dissect what communication actually meant to me, because apparently I'm using a blanket term, because if we talk about it, that is communication. But obviously it's a lot deeper, or I don't want to say deeper to imply that theirs isn't deep, but it's just different, right? Like, again, communication is an umbrella term for me. So this is where I came up with the C's. And then there's one other one that's not a C, but the C's. So anyways, I realized over time, when I was saying communication, I was meaning communication, collaboration, consideration, and curiosity. And then the last one that doesn't start with a C was introspection, or self-awareness. So it makes sense where I'm looking for essentially this list of things why we had a disconnect. So I want to talk about the C's. If you think of a C, give me a C, so then it can really be the C's. So I want to talk about how I feel like that shows up, and why I feel like it is so important to me to have when it comes to interpersonal relationships. So picture this. I have an interpersonal relationship, and we decide that communication is a value that we have. And I have a piece of candy, right? And the person comes over and they take the piece of candy. So I feel a way about the fact that you just took my candy, right? What I expect in that situation is for us to communicate, like, this is what happened from my perspective. Be curious enough to hear the other person, because if I'm saying that it was just my piece of candy, like, why would you take it? That doesn't make sense. And I'm not curious to know what just happened, then we're not going to get anywhere. You know what I mean? And then collaborative, we need to be able to enter that conversation. Yes, we're communicating about it. Yes, I'm listening to what you're saying and you're listening to what I'm saying, but what are we going to do about it, right? What are we going to do? You have a need that you wanted a piece of candy, and I had a piece of candy, so you just took it. You also have to be considerate about how that's going to feel to the person. So they have to be considerate how I'm going to feel for them taking my candy. I have to be considerate for, I had something and maybe I could have offered, or maybe I could have seen if they wanted something, or maybe saved it until later if I knew that they wanted some. You know what I mean? The last one that we still don't have a C for yet is the introspection and self-reflection. We both need to sit back and look at, how did I contribute to where this went, right? When it comes to introspection and self-reflection, I think people get caught up on, can I identify my feelings? And that's part of it. You do need to identify your feelings, but that's only part of it. You have to also be able to look at how what you're doing or what you did affect someone else, or how it can play into someone else's experience, right? And you learn that through having curiosity and communication and collaboration, right? But if you don't do that, you start going into territories of just being self-centered. Going back to our candy analogy, if I have this candy and someone takes it and all they sit there and think about was, well, I just wanted a piece of candy, so oh well, I reflected. I did it because that's what I wanted. Again, that comes across as self-centered, as opposed to actually taking a second, or not even a second, just taking the time to think about and acknowledge and consider how what you're doing, whether you want it to or not, affected the other person. How is it going to affect, again, how is it going to fit into someone else's experience? How am I going to feel now that you took the candy? And like, you do play a part in that. I think having this I feel like when you remove yourself from that and you're just being in that like kind of self-centered place, that's how we end up with people who don't want to look beyond themselves. And then they keep tracking back to like, oh, I had to choose self-love, or I had to choose me. And it's like, yeah, you do have to choose you. But when you choose to do an interpersonal, or when you choose to be involved in an interpersonal relationship, you're always going to have to also choose them, right? Not above yourself, but you have to also include them. It can't just be you. It can't just be you. So I think for me, that's why the C's and the I is so important. Like, and that's always what I meant when it came to communication, and why I had such an issue with it, because people didn't have the other ones. They just didn't. And it's not to say that it's a right or wrong thing, but for me to have true alignment with someone, at least in regards to communication, that's what that looks like for me. I think what I'm alluding to in this video is just being able to have healthy dynamics. I think in today's society, it's so common to not want to face yourself, and to not have to say, honestly, I'm not even gonna say today's society, in society, because I feel like this has been a thing since even before my generation. It's so common to not face yourself. And I think when we take the time to really break down these, I don't want to say buzzword, but like, when we take the time to break down these concepts more in depth, we can find true alignment in that way, and have healthier conversations, have healthier connections with people, and ultimately longer lasting relationships as well. But anyways, as usual, thank you for spending this time with me, and I hope that made sense. I would love to continue this conversation, because a lot of times I'll set up and speak, and then later on I'll think about like, oh, I missed this point, or whatever. So I would love to continue this conversation, but I've been wanting to add to my kind of outros, because there's so much that I want to say. But don't forget that your future self is waiting for you in the distance, smiling, arms wide open, and she is so happy and so proud of who you are today, because she cannot be who she is without who you are today. And just remember, as we continue through life and as we make more connections with people, we as women are a force together. And as bad as society wants us to be against each other, be jealous, be feeling like there's only one of us who can be on top, we can all win. We can all win by helping to boost each other up. So thank you for being here. Boost someone up in the comments today. Be a honey bunch, and I will see you in my next video. But while you're here,